All right, Sam.
Yes.
Sam, where'd you grow up? Where are you from originally?
I grew up in Spring, Texas, just a suburb outside of Houston,
Oh,
North Houston
okay.
specifically.
And tell me about your family. You had both your parents when you were a
Um,
kid?
well, my mom and dad, they are always fighting ever since when I was younger, and they divorced when I was about 12 years old, and both my parents were alcoholics and very dysfunctional in the household, and there's a lot of abuse,
How,
and
how many, do you have any siblings?
I have one brother, older brother, 16 months older than me, and he's a lot bigger than me, and he always beat me up growing up all the time. Um,
How would you describe your childhood?
um, it was kind of bittersweet. I love my family, but things really grew between us real quick, and it just really breaks my heart, more and more every day, just as years go by. And I wonder if I'm ever gonna see my father again, and it really does tear me up inside a lot. But I didn't get to see my own father growing up very much because they divorced, and by the time I was 12, and I just saw my dad every now and then. And my stepdad was also an alcoholic and a drinker, and he often would hit me, and I was the only one around when he'd get drunk, and he'd usually take all his anger out on me, and it was just a lot of hate, anger growing up. Just a lot of bad memories, honestly, growing up as a kid.
I'm sorry. So you left home at what age?
I left home at when I was first turned about. I first got kicked out when I was 15, but I came back a few times, and then I finally got kicked out for good when I was about 17. And at that time, I started living with my aunt, and I actually did get to graduate high school and things like that. But uh,
Where'd your life go after
after that
school?
is really when I took off to uh, kind of a little bit of drug abuse when I was a kid, especially when I started when I was about 17, and I had a lot of friends still growing up after I graduated high school, and we just did nothing but partying it. My best friend, he overdosed when he was 18, 19 actually, right after we graduated, and that was my best friend. We lived and worked together, did everything together.
So he
And
passed away?
yeah, he passed away when he was 19, right after we graduated,
Oh,
and so after that, that's when my life really kind of took off towards around like 24. Was well, I've been actually on the streets like about, honestly, more like right after 17. Or was when I was first on the streets. Was right after I graduated, and that's when my life really took off towards homelessness and drugs, and just pretty much been going from different city to different city. I mean, like every week or less than that, like I'd be in a different city ever since I was in my early 18, 20, and I'm 28 now. And I was just always in a different city, like just being homeless, and it was just terrible. I could never find anywhere that I felt like I really liked enough, and that was just the time when I just spun off towards like I went from living in Texas. I went all the way north in Texas, or to Central Texas and Bryan College Station. I lived in Amarillo just for a few months. Then I got so tired of living in rural parts of Texas, I moved off to Colorado to see what it was like living out there, and I stayed there for a couple of years. And and I had a few jobs in between, but nothing really solid. And so I didn't have very much ties there. I had a lot of good friends, but I moved off from Denver to Chicago to Florida to Seattle, Portland, Oregon, and then I started making my way through California and Sacramento, and it's just been hard ever since.
And you've been on Skid Row for how long?
It's been like a week now. I just got here, and I just had my just lost all my my identification. I'm really in a bad position right now.
You're not really here until you've lost everything.
Yeah.
You lose your ID and...
Yeah, I didn't realize I didn't have it bad till I lost my ID, you know? Like, that's when things truly set in that this is really bad right now.
Yeah. And what do you, what's your drug?
Heroin.
Heroin. How long have you been using heroin?
Pretty much since I was 17.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right when my friend died after we graduated.
And you can find heroin all over the country?
Yeah, not so much in the northern parts. I'd say there's a difference in north and south and east and west. Everything's way different.
How is it different?
Strength and things like that. Certain parts in like the middle of the country are probably like where it's weaker and it's not so much of that type of stuff going on. Like, it's a good way to get sober is to go northwest probably, because if you're struggling with that, because it's some places it's almost non-existent and some places it's all over the place.
Where is it non-existent?
I would say right like places like Arkansas or Nebraska and things like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, there is stuff in the northwest, like Seattle, but it's just not quite like stuff in the south.
Yeah, well, it's definitely not like here, where every block you can find
fentanyl and all kinds of stuff anything. Like that.
Depends on which block you're on.
Yeah, I didn't know that was going to be a thing here, but
yeah, be careful here.
Yeah,
it's easy to get trapped.
Oh yeah.
What do you have children or anything like that?
No, I've always been single.
You ever been in love?
I've been in love when I was about 23, I think. I was with a girl for a while, and I kind of tried to hide my addiction as much as possible, but she kind of knew, because she's been around it a lot. Mm-hmm. And there's just times where I was so intoxicated that I couldn't hide it, you know?
Yeah, it's got to be hard to hide.
Yeah.
Somebody you're close with.
Yeah, she even used to get high, but she tried not to, like, when we were together. And I mean, she really wouldn't. Like, she kind of had a thing against it because she's lost her friends from it. But yeah.
How long did that relationship last?
It was about 3 years. I really felt in love with this girl for a long time, but she was still kind of, I don't know, kind of broke my heart a lot. Just the way things would happen. Like, I would just catch her sometimes hanging out with other people and other guys, and it just kind of tripped me out a little bit. I was like, it just really broke my heart. There was a time in my life where I was really addicted and I just could not get off. Even all kinds of party drugs too. Like when I was 20, in my early 20s, when I first turned 21 was when I was just really just always on it. And when I was 21, it was one of the times when I got out of being homeless and I actually had money and I was kind of functional. And I worked with some of my friends, like kind of worked around my addiction and kind of was functional as possible. And had people that would help me, like if I was too messed up going to work, would help me sober up and stuff like that, you know, because there were people I was close to kind of. But yeah, that was my first relationship though, was about 3 years. And just really heartbreaking all the way through.
Do you blame your addiction for kind of ruining that relationship?
Yeah, I definitely acted a fool way too much, and I was always so paranoid about her going maybe like cheating on me, and I'd always accuse her of that, and I think that kind of really didn't do so good for me in the end. That I probably just screwed myself with all my paranoid stuff, that all my paranoid bullshit just pretty much made it come to an end like real quick, you know. And everybody said that would happen.
And how do you support yourself now?
Now, well, when I lived in Chicago, I actually had a brief time of success of doing sales, and I made pretty good money. And that was another time I wasn't homeless, but it was only for maybe a year and a half. And but I try to support myself on the odd jobs I could get, or right now I'm without an ID and I'm kind of having to come up with something. You know, I right now it's hard to say. I'm gonna have to try to order a new ID online or something. That's what I did last time. Mm-hmm. But yeah, my life's just, I mean, it goes good for a little bit, and then I go off into a tailspin and back on the streets, and just same spot every time.
Have you OD'd before?
Yeah, I've OD'd a lot. Many times when I was growing up in Houston, when I first started, and I've even OD'd maybe once here, and it was a shock of my life. I really scared the hell out of me when you overdose and you feel so cold when you wake up, and that's because you were dead and almost limp, you know. That's a horrible feeling to ever come up from. It feels like the worst body aches and the worst kind of mental anxiety goes on in your head when you come through that. That you don't feel right at all. I don't know how to describe that sensation of being resuscitated, but it's just back to life, you know. It's actually really painful. It's really painful, mentally, emotionally, physically. It hurts. It hurts, and your body's freezing cold. It's one of the things I never even thought would happen. But it hurt really bad being brought back to life. I felt physical pain from it.
Did you feel like your addiction, your heroin addiction, is somehow something you picked up from your mom or genetically, or even just your stepdad behavior?
It's hard to say because, you know, I know like genetically my actual dad was not much of that much of a drinker as much as my stepdad was, but or a drug addict or anything. So I don't know about genetically, but like I know that the abuse, I think you know, getting beaten by my brother and my stepdad was it made me feel kind of weak and small and just like defenseless, and it made me just feel kind of worthless, you know, at times. When I think that had a lot to do with it. I just feel times when I like was really young, like just extreme stress and fear about life, and I just felt that pressure and I couldn't relieve it ever, you know. Like I just had a lot of pain in my heart and almost felt, you know, pretty suicidal by the time I was about 15, 16, 17, you know. I was just really a damaged person already, you know. And but yeah, I just I think it had a lot to do with just being, yeah, my mother was also would really make me feel, she would scream at me all day, and it would just make me feel so low, you know.
And so do the drugs offer some kind of like escape from that?
Yeah, it really did in the beginning. Like I felt like there's still I felt a lot that there's a chance in life that, and I had a new group of friends and we pretty much just partied and we worked and it felt kind of functional for a while, you know, like, yeah, it's just, sorry, getting distracted. But yeah, shoot.
Do you have friends out here or anywhere?
Yeah, I got a lot of friends in Colorado. Pretty much all my friends back home are either dead or I don't talk to them anymore. I really don't honestly know anybody out here, and it's really scary at the moment. It's really, really bad. It's something I just hope that eventually I do get back home and see my father again, maybe, or even my brother. I mean, I just want, or my mother. I want to see them again. You know, it's been so long since I've ever even seen them.
With the abuse that you went through as a young man, how did that make you feel? What emotions did it bring up?
Just like I was just stupid and worthless and in waste of space, you know, like I was just in the way of everything, and that like they just treated me almost differently than everybody. Like I was just everybody's whipping post, you know. It was like I always felt like I just wanted a break from all that crap. I mean, I couldn't just ever just relax and come home and I'd be happy. There's always something wrong, you know. I just always felt so worthless, you know, growing up, and like there must be something wrong with me, you know, like I don't know. Everyone I grew up with was a lot more into fighting than I was, and I was more about peace, and everybody I grew up with was just so confrontational, and I'm kind of a shy person, and I can't take, you know, yelling and confrontation very well. I just back down easily, you know, like I just don't like getting in the way of things. And it just pretty much scarred me all my life.
Do you have any hope of kind of getting your life back in your hands?
You know,
getting clean, getting a job, stuff like that.
It's so like right now is like I was feeling that way a little bit. I don't know why. Traveling kind of for a little bit, I got, you know, to get a little bit clean and healthy for a little bit because I was out of my elements and I didn't know how to do things in other places, and I just kept going town to town, and I didn't really have very much time to do things, and I actually managed to get an ID that I did online with someone, and you know, it's just recently I went through a time where somebody was helping me and they were taking me different places, and I mean they bought me a $300 phone and I lost it, and I had my ID and a phone for a little bit, and I really had a lot of hope, like just recently, and I had a rich friend from Germany actually that he took a kindness to me that, I don't know, he just felt sorry for me or something. It was kind of an interesting experience when I was over in Chicago originally, and he was helping me get on my feet, and it was a lot of help actually. Like he actually had must have had a lot of money, and he was just there to help me, and it just felt really bad. And when he kind of just had to go back to, well, Florida. I mean, he was originally from Munich, but I mean, yeah, I did think there was a time just recently where I could get my stuff together and maybe enough to go see my mom and my brother, and now it's gone back into the negative. Like I'm already lost my ID. I don't have a phone to talk to anybody anymore. I'd at least try to text my mom and dad every now and then. And now I don't have any of those things in just a brief instant. It just happened just like I thought it would, you know. I just lost it just randomly, just on the streets, you know.
What would you say is the most important lesson you've learned in your life?
I mean, lessons I've learned is that, you know, you only live once, and that you if you're like me, anything like me, you'll waste a lot of years just doing nothing with yourself, and you're never going to get those years back. And I'm just so scared about that, because more and more years go by, and I don't know if it's ever going to get better, if I'm ever going to see my family again, because I still care about them. And it's just, I've just learned to, sometimes if you don't know your limits, or you don't know how strong a drug is, you could never wake up, you know. That's a big thing, that you could always you could never do less, you know. And it's important to get your situation straightened out, and not to procrastinate and wait more and more time. Like, maybe I could just wait another day till I go take care of that chore, that you know, thing I need to do about getting a social security card, or even the stimulus check. It's just like, you know, there's things you shouldn't wait on, you know, like, because you might be in a worse situation in the future where you can't even do anything about it, you know. It's good to just take care of things as soon as they come into your mind, to get them done as quick as possible, and try to create a foundation, you know, and don't just keep screwing up everywhere. I really wish I knew these things before I got over ambitious and tried traveling the whole U.S. and being in every region pretty much. It's just not worth it, you know.
All right, Sam. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I wish you the best of luck out here.
Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you. So living on the streets, have you had bad stuff happen to you?
Yeah, just one time when I was in southern Colorado Springs, I ran into some bad people. I knew them for a while. This one guy, I hung out with him and his girlfriend for a while, and everything seemed fine until one night I was all alone in the trails, in the woods actually, in a real cold night, and I ran into this guy, and he told me, like, started going into the detail about how everything was a lie about what he said. He said, you know, my name's not Joshua, it's Marcus, and he said he was actually in a satanic cult of 300 people, and it was just, I started panicking. He just told me, you're gonna die, you know, whatever happens, you're gonna die. And he said, you could give me money, but I'm still gonna kill you. And I tried to make whatever I could to barter for my life, and he started stabbing me, and kept stabbing me, and beat me with a big old stick. It was about like 6 foot long, and up and down like my face, and he stabbed me all here. And I tried to defend myself. I mean, you can.
How many times?
23 stab wounds. There's one here, and all throughout my arms, legs. They've healed a lot though. Yeah, you can still see some of them.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was lucky to live through that. I almost bled out. I could feel all the fluids leaving my body. I was so thirsty. And by the time I ran away from him, I made it to a Walmart, and I didn't even have to say anything. Everybody could see. I was just came out the woods, and I was bleeding head to toe. And they gave me a chair to sat down in, and called 911. And I was so thirsty. By the time I got to the ER, I was begging the medics for a sip of water, and they're like, "No, we can't, because it's going to be, you got to give you surgery." And so I got healed, and it took about a week in the hospital.
This was Colorado?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yep, Southern Colorado, Colorado Springs. It's a pretty crazy place. It's really nice, real outdoorsy. And it's kind of like, you got the God Squad kind of people, like, try to tell you to go only for God. And then there's also, is one of the places that I believe, I don't know if it's true or, how accurate it is, but they said it's one of the first places that had a satanic temple in America, one of the first satanic temples. So it's got a lot of that type of division. There is the God Squad, and then a lot of satanic people that take it very seriously. And I had no idea about any of this stuff. I didn't know he was a bad person. He seemed just as normal as anybody, very normal, chill kind of person. And him and his girl, they were pretty cool people. They just kind of smoked pot with me, and we hung out. And he came to me saying a whole bunch of stuff about how, it was all a setup, and everything was just a lie, and we're not friends or anything like that. And it was, I don't know, it was just, you could hear the panic bells just going off in my mind when that started happening. I didn't know what was going to happen. I thought for surely I was going to die that night. It was scary as hell.
This is what you get traveling around.
What's that?
This is what you get traveling around the country.
Yeah.
You meet everybody and anybody.
You run into some wild stuff.
All right, Sam. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Yes, thank you.
I wish you the best of luck in your travels.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
All right, man. Thank you.